everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, No More Secrets. As always, I'm your aunt, Mary Albrecht.
And I'm your niece, Katie Albrecht. And I think to start this episode, I just want to give a little shout out to Matt Beck from our previous episode, because what a story.
What a story. We've been getting so much great feedback from it and a lot of new listeners and just, really inspirational kind of comments. So,
yeah. And it was really cool to hear his perspective on stuff because he's obviously faced a lot and a lot of stuff that I can't even imagine at this point. It's just...
And at his age...
right.
He's only 30 now, talking about this thing that happened 2 years ago that lasted a whole year, in the making. So it's like,
right.
Well, you're only 30. Good
He's
Lord.
lived a lot of life, you know?
Yeah.
He's seen a lot of the hard parts of life.
Of the hard parts. So you hope that it evens out, but you never know, right? So...
Yeah, that's the hope.
That's the hope, yeah. So, but great job, Matt. We thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
And we will stay in touch with him and keep everybody posted as to his progress.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially if he grows a new leg from the vaccine.
From the vaccine, yeah. His greatest hope, yeah.
So, but I wanted to share with the listeners what Katie did over the weekend, this past weekend, because it scares the shit out of me.
It wasn't that bad.
I have a bad time with heights, even a second floor.
Yeah.
So what did you do, Katie?
Oh, thanks, Aunt Mary. I went on a hot air balloon.
I can't believe that.
Yeah. So I can't believe I did either. Honestly, my sister and I went out to California this past weekend for like an extended weekend trip. And she said that she'd always wanted to do it and kind of hit me up with it. And I was like, yeah, I'll hop on a hot air balloon. That's
Why
fine.
not? Yeah.
And it ended up being a good time. It got canceled the original day.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, and we got scared that we wouldn't be able to do it because I'm like, I'm only out here for 2 more days.
Why did it get canceled? Sorry,
bad weather.
I'm messing around with the technology.
That's fine. No, it was...
it was not good weather the first day?
It wasn't bad. It was just cloudy and windy. And
okay.
I found out an interesting fact about hot air balloons is that you can't steer them. Is this making you want to do it more or less?
I just never thought of that. So you can't... What do you mean? You just have to go with the wind to ride the wind?
Yeah, you go up and down and you can do a little twirl is how they described it.
Oh, my God.
So if there's wind, you're kind of at the mercy to it, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting because when he said, yeah, we can spin if you want, and everyone was like, oh no, not the spinning sounds so scary. But then when he did it, it was like the slowest.
Like, could you even tell you were spinning?
Barely. Yeah.
Okay.
All of a sudden I could see a new angle. Like that was pretty much it because we were in there with probably 16 other people.
And so, how high did you go? Do you know?
I think he said we went up to 1,000 feet. We didn't go that high because it was still a little windy, and the higher you go, the windier it gets.
And how long were you up there?
About an hour or so. The whole experience was a couple hours because you have to get driven to a location, and
okay.
We had breakfast afterwards and stuff.
Were you over the Pacific Ocean?
No, we were in the middle of a field. There was mountains off in the distance.
Oh, okay.
But the field, I guess, was like a pseudo dump. Literally, like,
oh,
like it wasn't legally a dump, but people go there to just dump their stuff.
That would be a bad
so
place
this majestic view
crash.
Yeah, it was just trash like below us and
Yeah.
stuff, which is kind of funny. Like there was old boats and car
You
parts
could see it?
and stuff. Yeah.
Oh no, that wasn't very pretty.
super majestic, right? But in general, the experience was really peaceful. I didn't think it was going to be like that. I thought it was going to be like a thrill. But you feel light as a feather as you're up there, like you're an actual helium balloon.
And are you just like open, like you could just look over and there's
There's
air?
the ground. Pretty much. There's a basket.
Or is there like a gate or something?
There's a basket that you have to hop into, so you have to have a little bit of upper body strength to hop in.
And how high is that?
Well, it's pretty high. I think it went up to about here.
Oof.
Yeah.
Not high enough.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, you didn't feel unsafe at all. You felt like you were looking over a balcony, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then it just got a little hot sometimes from the fire. But it was a cool experience. We drank
Wow.
champagne on there.
Really?
Yeah, I knew you'd like that.
Yeah. Well, now we're talking. Do they have a bathroom on board?
No bathroom, but you could always go in the in the trash field below us, right?
Hang off the end.
Hang on, guys, I'm gonna need a minute. Too much champagne, yeah. No, it didn't last for very long. Like it was an hour, so you could figure it out,
Yeah, I think I could handle that.
Hopefully.
As long as I didn't eat, because I don't have a large intestine, and that could be a problem.
Yeah, that would be an event for a lot of people, I think.
An event.
But yeah, it was good. I'm glad that I tried it, and I'm glad I would love to try more new things. Like we were doing where we went for breakfast was at the place where they do skydiving.
Oh.
And skydiving is kind of scary. I would do it if someone brought me along, but seeing it just be so routine. Like I saw probably 60 people jump out of a plane. I was just watching them come down.
Really?
And it just seemed so normal, and they were all having fun. I'm like, oh, this doesn't seem that scary, because it just was another day at the skydiving school.
People jumping out of planes.
People just falling from the sky, like one right after the other.
Happens all the time, yeah.
It was kind of interesting to see that.
Yeah, so Sarah just got this idea and brought it up, and there you are.
Yeah, she wanted to do it. Well, she said she wanted to do it before she was 30 with the love of her life, and then I just happened to be the substitute.
Because she's 30 now?
Yeah.
So not quite before she's 30, and no love of her life.
Yeah, well,
her sister.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the love.
Aww.
And it was a romantic outing too, or probably in theory was,
It was supposed to be was it all couples?
No, there was a group of people, but with the champagne, and you see pretty sights. It's something you would see on The Bachelor, but me and my sister did it pretty much.
That's cute.
Yeah, no, it was a good memory, and I think we both really enjoyed our experience.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll show a little bit of footage, either on the episode or on social media or whatever. But hey, at least we're right above. We'd find it again, GoPros are pretty. That piece of hair though that's stuck in it. Gonna drive me crazy. These are pretty durable. Better than your phone, We're doing it.
Find that so I can get around the side. And then we can go that way. But... No, we're moving. So you see that shadow?
Over there, yeah.
There it is.
To the Magave brothers. Happy birthday. Yay, we're going back up.
So does this feel different than you guys thought it would? Yeah.
I didn't know there'd be this many people in one. That's different.
And actually, if it's cold, we can get more people than this in here.
Oh, because body heat?
No,
Let's keep it warm.
we can The colder it is, the more we can lift.
Yeah. Wow, look at all this.
Look at the wide angle. It looks like we're on top of the world.
And my wife always bugs me. She says, how come you use your computer out in the garden?
We're on top of the world.
It's not in the house. If I use the office in the house, you want me to clean it.
You're right. You're right about that. You're smart. You're smart guy.
When it's cold, I work on these projects.
Well, remember when they had all those like trailers right there?
Good. Like I should. Video. Yeah, so that was
Did you meet any difficult people out there? On the plane. How about there?
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, I did. I love that segue because that's our topic.
Our topic. Right. Look at me.
I know,
I'm like a
it's-
professional. Hi.
Right, yeah. It's there was
But like, I would think, there's a lot of issues going on airplanes now because people are all kind of getting back into it, right?
yeah,
You know?
you have to load the plane from back to front, and I didn't know this, so I paid
Oh.
extra money for Economy Plus so that I could get on the plane first.
Oh.
So I don't have to check my bag. And then I find out as we're boarding, like, oh, we're doing back to front because of COVID. I'm like, well, you could have told me that before
when
I
I
paid
got-
extra money for it, you know?
That should have been made clear. Yeah.
You would think. But yeah, so that was kind of a difficult situation, although I don't think it was any of the flight attendants' fault. It's just how it was.
How about the passengers, though? Was anybody rude?
One guy brought some pretty smelly pasta.
I already did this.
You cheersed it?
So early in the season. in the
season.
session.
In the session, yeah. Yeah, some guy brought some smelly pasta from the airport onto the plane. He sat right next to me, of course, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Did you say something?
No. And the mask didn't help from covering the smell either. So,
Yes,
'cause you have to wear a mask the whole time. But yeah, it was not my favorite flying experience.
What kind of smell?
Garlic.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like really strong garlic.
It was pretty strong garlic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing you don't bring that kind of meal on a plane, you know, where you have to sit with the fork and it's messy and stinky and stuff. Like,
So, with our topic, difficult people, we were discussing this beforehand as usual, but I think a lot of the difficulties come from people not realizing that they're with other people. Like you're in a group, you're in a crowd, you're not at your home. Why are you bringing garlic pasta? And you're probably going to have gas now, so.
that I wasn't aware of if you did, but yeah.
But you need to think of others, right? Because you don't eat garlic before you're going to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
I just had garlic, so I'm doing this. But instead, he's sitting right next to you doing that. Just
Right.
kind of unaware, I think. Not like a mean person,
No.
just unaware.
No, yeah. I don't think he was a mean person at all. I think it just was an unfortunate circumstance that I almost had to check my bag. I snuck it into first class.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they almost like put it under, and I was going to be so upset about it,
Oh, man.
But having that and then sitting next to a guy that has the stinkiest food on the whole trip.
Oh, my God.
plane.
And you're in a mask, and you're hot and uncomfortable, and you can't, oh.
Yeah. But I think it's also, airlines are kind of at the mercy of COVID also, because they combine all the flights into one. So there's all these like flight cancellations. So then we're all packed into one flight because there's just not enough people flying right now.
Which is funny that you're packed in, because the whole thing is about distancing still, right?
But they load the plane from back to front, so therefore we're good.
As long as you wear a mask.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But I guess to get into this topic, because I was thinking about it before we met today, and I was like, there's difficult people in our life in all kinds and forms. There's ones that you talked about, like how it's people that don't realize that they're being difficult, but they just kind of are annoying.
In their own bubble, and
they're just kind of annoying. And then there's people that are difficult with intent and really want to mess things up.
Yep.
Like those types of people do exist. And it's how do we deal with both of them and everything in between?
And how do you keep hopeful about the human race while you're doing that? Because sometimes you get an abundance of difficult people. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to talk about difficult people, there's like the extreme of actually evil people, like criminals and murderers and rapists and things like that. And so I can't even believe sometimes that we're part of the same species when I think about that. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, I don't know if the listeners remember, but I know you do, Katie, when I talked about that girl that was attacked on the trail, raped, and then her throat slit 4 times and then buried, and she's the one that came to our house. She played dead till her perpetrator went away, and then she crawled out, came to our house, and Terry saved her, basically, like got her into the kitchen, called 911. And I was doing it on the episode when I was talking about how Terry's life matters, Anyway, just odd that our neighbor, not in the house we were at when that person came to our house, but our neighbor now. So we moved about 5 years ago. He came over last weekend. I had never met him. Terry had. But Terry, the guys don't talk the same way that I ask questions and stuff. And it turns out he's a guard at the Lake County Jail in Waukegan. And I just happened to say, "Oh, do you know so-and-so?" I don't want to say the name, just because it'll be linked to the victim and that they would like anonymity.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just said, "Oh, do you know so-and-so?" "Oh, yeah, he was under my watch." And this neighbor went on to describe this rapist, attempted murderer guy as somebody that completely has no soul. And a prison guard, even though it's just Waukegan, which Waukegan can get kind of nasty, but it's not like, inner city kind of stuff. But he said this guy gave him the chills. Like, he had no warmth in his eyes, no soul. Like, you look at him in the eye and he's just completely vacant of any kind of empathy, any kind of emotion, any kind of just human characteristics.
Which is interesting because that's how they describe, like, the serial killers of the 70s and stuff, 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And all that. They were pretty, there was no warmth in their eyes. It was all just kind of vacant, like what you said.
Yeah. And so he was a difficult person among the other prisoners. Like, nobody there liked him. I mean, he was as bad as they come. And so it's interesting that whole scenario, there's like a couple of prisoners that he got along with and he chummed around with, and some that he became friends with. But then there's this other one that scared the crap out of him. And this guy's 6'8" and just this big, strong guy, the guard. And you can just tell, like, he can handle himself. Mm-hmm. And this guy really scared him.
Did he say anything else about, like, the interactions with him?
Well, he did know that, meaning the perpetrator, the criminal, knew that he was going to a very bad place. He was going down to maximum security prison for what he had done to several people.
Which, understandably, yeah.
Yeah, because he was a repeat offender, and this was his 3rd time getting put in jail.
For the same reason, or
For the same reason, yes. And they kept letting him out because of good behavior.
did he? I don't know the full history of this. Did he succeed in murdering other?
No, so he ramped up to attempted murder with the latest victim, the one that came to our house. The first 2 times it was just rape. Just rape.
Yeah, as if that's a small thing, but yeah.
Yeah. And then he got put away for 8 years, but was let out in 4 or something like that. And then the second time was attempted rape.
Right.
So he was in for less time, a couple years. And then this time he decided rather than get put away again, he's still going to rape somebody on a trail because that was his MO, but he's going to kill them afterwards so that he doesn't get put away again in case they find him.
So
So
it
he
did
kept
escalate,
ramping
yeah.
up. Yeah, kept escalating. So, but he didn't succeed, thank goodness, but he thought he did,
Right.
So he was really mad. The criminal was mad when he found out the victim survived. He actually said that he didn't think it was fair because he said, I meant to kill her. I should get some points for not having succeeded.
Oh my gosh. Okay. It's interesting to hear people like that, how they think, because no one thinks they're the villain. Like they always think that they're they're doing it for a reason or it's because of X, Y, and Z or whatever. And they don't actually think that what they're doing is wrong necessarily. Because otherwise they wouldn't be doing it.
At that level or anybody ever.
Maybe anybody. Does anyone actually think that they're the bad guy?
I don't think well, yeah, good point.
I think I think that's you want to get to the point where you're self-aware and everything, but is everyone naturally self-aware? Probably not.
Probably not.
It takes a lot of work, and you're never going to be 100% self-aware because you don't know how you're coming across to people all the time.
And so for somebody to go to prison, get out and do it again, and go to prison, get out and do it again, clearly they're not self-aware.
No, and they don't think there's anything
They don't
wrong.
think they did
They're
anything
justifying
wrong.
in their mind somehow.
Okay. Yeah, good point. So yeah, he felt like it was really unfair that he got put away for as long as he did because he felt like, well, she got to live and now my life is over. And so it seems like had I killed her, I should get this maximum sentence.
But you tried.
But I didn't, so I should get some points back.
Oh, so I'm a good guy. I didn't
because I'm a shitty murderer. I'm a failure at murder.
Because I did it, but I did it bad. I didn't do it a good job.
You should get points. Oh my gosh,
that's so
it's
sick.
so twisted.
Yeah.
So, and then so I don't know if it's kind of known that when rapists, especially if they rape, usually they rape weaker people or younger or just people
like pedophiles and stuff.
Yeah, like they prey on the ones that they know they can control. Usually when they go to prison, they get it back from the other prisoners. I used to think it was a myth, but it actually is true that they a lot of times get raped themselves by the other men just as a way to punish them because they're just so disgusting, which is another weird thing about mental rationalization, that this guy would think that raping this guy puts him in his place. You're kind of sick too that you're raping that guy.
You're also messed up, but
so
they're also in prison.
So what else is there to do? Well,
what else? That's not what I meant.
Crochet. I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry.
What else is there to do?
I don't know why I said that.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. No, I mean, I think they could find other things to do.
Crochet.
But, I mean, what I was trying to say was that there's a good chance that if they're in prison that they might not be a good person anyway. Maybe not as serious as obviously rape or murder, torture, like those things, but they've done something that warrants them being in prison.
And usually like this happens mostly in maximum security prison.
Right.
So yeah, which
are the more serious cases, yeah.
He was preparing himself. This perpetrator was preparing himself for going down to Southern Illinois maximum security prison. Should I say it?
If you want.
I mean, it was a little bit alarming, this conversation that I had with our neighbor. But he said that this person...
But this is probably his life. This is probably
This
what
is
he
his
sees all the
life.
time.
He
It's just
said-
something that we're not familiar with.
And he said it's an awful job. He hates it. But it pays really, really well. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's near retirement. So he's just going to stick it out. But he said you see the worst in humanity. But that this guy was one of the worst that he's ever seen. So this guy, he says, I don't know why he would make this up. He said that he was sticking water bottles up his butt to prepare his butthole for getting raped
I don't mean
down in prison.
I
You know,
don't
so
mean
it
to
wouldn't
laugh,
hurt so much.
I can't imagine being in this mindset.
I mean, and he said it like he was saying, "Oh yeah, he was filing his nails." Like he said it, and I just
Like
looked,
so nonchalant.
yeah, and he did that. He didn't even flinch. I just said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah. He knew what was coming to him, so that's how he prepared." It's like packing your bags.
I mean, it is I guess it's a form of preparation. Once again, I can't imagine thinking like that. But then again, I also can't imagine thinking that it's okay to almost kill someone and rape them and think that they should get off easy. You know?
Because they didn't kill him.
So something's obviously off in his mind that he thinks that, you know, all this stuff is the way to be, you know?
Yeah, and according to this prison guard, the things you see on TV about prisons pretty much happens everywhere. There's a lot of roughing up. There's a lot of messages that are delivered to the worst of the worst. There's a lot of figurative backstabbing and that kind of thing. And he said it's just awful. He said it's really hard to come home to he's got 2 daughters.
So how does he deal with, you know, the most difficult people on a daily basis?
He said that he has to compartmentalize. I think you brought that up. Like he has to literally, sometimes he even drives around because Waukegan, just for the listeners, is only like 10 minutes away or something like that, maybe 15. And he drives around sometimes for 40 minutes trying to make the break between that and going home to his wife and 2 daughters. Because, you know, he got two daughters. They're like young. They're 8 and 12 or whatever, you know. He had them late and he just adores them, but he can't bring home this stuff. You can't talk about work.
No,
at
you
home.
gotta get it out of your head.
Right.
Somehow.
So he has to just completely pigeonhole it, put it in that corner of his brain and just act like he's somebody else. So, yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I could understand that. I wonder if he goes to therapy. He probably didn't go into that with you, but I feel like that's a situation where you need to get it out of your head somehow.
I wonder if they all have to.
Like
maybe it's a requirement
like
of
a
the job.
quarterly thing or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
would think so.
That's a tough gig.
A tough gig. I don't even know how somebody starts that. Partially, he's really big. You know, he's 6'8" and strong
so he's
and
intimidating,
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I know he was in the military, so that makes sense. You know, that you would do something after that is kind of tough. You know.
Right.
Oh, he makes Terry look so puny because Terry's so thin now, but also he's only 6 feet. But I mean, Terry just looks like this little boy
And
next to him.
and Terry's not a
He's
small guy
No,
in general.
he wasn't.
Yeah.
It's another story.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, so Katie decided to, talk about interacting with difficult people. And I thought, well, that guy, that's how that came up because it was like, well, I just met him and he'd talk about every day dealing with difficult people.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably there's a hierarchy, like when you deal with the worst of the worst, maybe everyone else seems better, which I have to say, growing up with your dad, my brother, I have a really good tolerance for people because he was so bad that I again, even it can backfire on you because you can be in a toxic relationship, but just because it's not as bad as Ken, you think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know?
that's something I think I've I will never stop learning about, because you always have to figure out, if you don't grow up seeing what healthy looks like, you just never know where to go from there. Like I'm almost starting with a new foundation and building as I go.
Right.
Because growing up, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
When you grow up with my dad, who probably should have belonged with the people that we were just describing in prison.
Yep.
He was that type of person, but got breaks out of it.
He got brought out by my parents.
Yeah.
He was in prison several times.
He was. Yeah. And
yeah.
it was mostly when I was younger, I think. Mm-hmm. But he is that type of person, and it was it's hard to know what is right and wrong. We've talked about this on the podcast before, but you always have to second guess almost, and the things that other people put up with or don't put up with, it's like all of a sudden I'll be more lenient towards. But then there's also cases where people will be very patient with other people, and I can't stand it,
because it might trigger something
Yeah.
that bothered you about him, for instance.
Yeah, and but no matter what, I always feel like the odd man out. Like I always feel like I'm the one that's like not quite on the same level as other people,
It's interesting you should bring that up, because I wrote something just in my notes that even though people talk to me and I know they like me and they interact and stuff, I never quite feel like I belong. I kind of feel like I'm still that lost girl that was so beaten down by him, and that somehow I'm not really worthy of their their sharing and their attention and all of that. So it was something I wrote, but it just made me realize that he's kind of always with when you grow up with him, it's
Which
like
we both did,
he's
yeah.
never really gone, and that's kind of bumming me out, because like I keep thinking he might go away soon. But he's been he's still kind of in my reactions with people and how I deal with difficult people. I tolerate a lot that I shouldn't.
You do.
Yes, thank you.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Hi. So anyway, but yeah, so there's different levels. If I were to talk about difficult people, a lot of it would probably be me being difficult to them recently, because I have just been so feisty and so outspoken about the current world with that dumb thing out there, and I've just been ornery with people. I just want it to go back to the way it was. So I'll give you an example. I came in a couple of days ago, and my internet didn't work right away, and people were texting me that were trying to do the class online, and they were saying, whoa, we can't see you, we can't hear you, oh, we can't get the link, we can't this and that. And I'm like, my internet is down, I'll get right with you. And finally I got everybody up, and I said, okay, I had maybe 3 people in the room, like at the studio, but then maybe 5 or 6 that were online. And I said, okay, people. And I look right at the camera and I said, I'll try to keep this online service going after the pandemic's over, but I'm not going to be happy about it, because this sucks. I don't want to be a tech person. I don't want to deliver exercise over a computer.
There is a rule with us and Shane and Travis that Mary doesn't touch anything
Right.
technology related.
Exactly. And then they're all clamoring, we can't hear you, we can't this and that. Get off your fucking ass and come here. They're all vaccinated now. It's really just a lazy thing. And they admit it, and I understand, they got a lot to do and it's easier than just, but I didn't go into teaching exercise so that I could learn computers.
That you can go talk to people through a screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did it because you wanted to interact with people. And also it felt good, and it is something you're good at, but you can't live behind a screen.
It's the whole picture, because the whole thing with being in a room with a bunch of people, you get all this energy from them. Yeah. And then you have music on, and you're exercising, so you have endorphins.
It's any kind of performer, honestly. You're performing in front of people. You just happen to be teaching them at the same time.
And you glean their energy from them. It's way easier for me to teach to a group of 10 people than to train somebody one-on-one because you get energy from them, but not when they're online.
Yeah.
So,
and you were also saying, and this is a good point, like you're paying to have this business, like a brick and mortar business, it doesn't make sense to just have it for a few people coming in.
If I want to do an online business, I can do it and not pay rent here.
But then that takes away from the community of what you have established with your people,
right?
The peeps.
And with the peeps, and I resent having to have done it because of a virus. I do. Now, I'm grateful as well for they stuck with me and the patronage and all that, and I've been making more money than I have in the years because there's so many more people. But I guess I just want there to be a balance, like somehow I don't know what I want. See, I'm the difficult person.
You're not difficult.
And I'm hard on them, because I said, if you guys, I'll leave the online option, but if you start abusing it, I'm going to take away the privileges. Meaning if you are home because you're literally just feeling like being home versus coming here, as opposed to being out of town or not feeling well, like having some kind of other virus, or having a meeting that's coming right after that you have to get to, or something like that, that makes sense. But if you just do it because you're used to it now, and you're leaving me with this huge room and 2 people in it, I'd like to say I'll get rid of the brick and mortar business, but no, because that's not what I want to do. So I'll get rid of the online privileges.
Oh, that's a good point. And
yeah.
And you do have the power.
I have the power, I guess I might lose customers or whatever, but I don't want to do that unless I see you every now and then. Like I'll do it because of a pandemic, but I'm not going to do it forever this way. I need people populating my business. That's why I have an establishment.
Right.
So.
And I think that's important because this is one of those examples that it's like, it's difficult, but it's not like the prison stuff that we started the episode with. But it's like, it's just people trying to do the best for themselves, yourself and your clients and everything. And they, it doesn't always mesh with each other. So,
and that leads us to what we were talking about, because some of the things with difficult people is how they judge.
Yeah.
Well, am I judging my clients when I say, I want you to come here? Like meaning get off your ass and come here.
But then are they also judging you for wanting to have people to come in person during a pandemic? Maybe, like it's like.
Yeah, exactly. So
both.
I guess what I need to decide, it's both. Yes. And what I need to decide going forward is what I'm willing to offer as a service. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the computers. I did it through the pandemic. I'm grateful. I'm going to say that. I'm grateful that I was able to connect with everyone.
No technology burned down or anything. So.
Yeah, I threw it against the wall a few times, but...
the camera flew out of my hand a couple times earlier today.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing.
I wish it was recorded.
But I just feel like saying, you guys know where to find me. I don't know. I got to figure it out. And then I got to not place judgment. So if you guys want to stay home or go find another studio that's online, more power to you. But
yeah, but that's hard to actually do.
It's hard to do. And so now here we are, because we're post-pandemic. It's a whole new world. Everybody's used to being online now.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I think there's a lot of value from in-person.
Yeah, a lot to health.
Contact.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. But from what it sounds like, and maybe this works for all difficult people, is you kind of have to learn your own boundaries and then stick to them when you're dealing with someone that disagrees with you or is frustrating or doesn't have the same mindset on the past year. Like it's just you have to be firm with what you want, and the right people will gather around that.
Yeah, and again, that's where I really think that I'm going to turn a corner with all of this because I've compared COVID to Ken so much because I've done things this past year to keep the peace and to keep people happy, like doing the online stuff. I don't really like it. I could have used a vacation instead.
I remember the beginning of the pandemic, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to have a couple days off."
And
I see you like 4 days later, and you're like, "Yeah, I started online classes. I'm busier than ever."
And I spent thousands of dollars, and I did all this, and so, yeah. So now I'm sort of at a crossroads now that we're coming out of it, and most of my people are going to be fully vaccinated within the next month.
Right.
And so I need to decide, okay, this is what I offer. Maybe I only offer these classes online, but not all of them, or something like that. But so I know I've been very ornery and difficult. In fact, one of my customers said, because I said, I'll try to keep offering it, but I'm not going to be happy about it. And she goes, oh, you've made that really clear to us that you aren't happy about doing this online thing. So we already know.
So you're not keeping any secrets, it sounds like.
No more secrets. Here we are. I've just been letting it all out. Yeah, So anyway, I'm the difficult person probably right now in most of my customers' lives. But they come in for the show. I mean, they tune in for the show. And a lot of them say that they come in for the Mary show, but the exercise is a side benefit.
True. I come in for the beer and cheese. And I guess our podcast, right?
And our podcast, yeah. So,
but no, I don't think you're. And see, I think people go through tough times, and when you go through tough times, it's how do you not be difficult through some of it,
I feel like I'm a little kid testing the boundaries with my customers. Just seeing how far I can push them, and will they still accept me? But I'm not doing it on purpose. But when I think about it, I'm like, I'm kind of pushing a little too far sometimes, maybe for a business owner.
This brings it back to the beginning when we were like, does anyone think that they're the villain or
right.
the difficult one?
Right.
And you sometimes, but I think it takes a long time to get to that point. I think people justify themselves a lot.
Rationalize, yeah.
But what you're doing is what a lot of people don't do, and that's saying that, like, oh, I feel like I'm being difficult.
I know.
I don't think you are, but
Well, and this goes back to being raised with Ken, because if you say anything against the norm, you're the difficult one,
Right. Yeah, again, I'm probably the odd man out or something, but it's just funny that I don't think you're being difficult. I think you're just sticking to your beliefs.
I'm just being honest. I mean, I've been pushed so far this year with, my dad and Steve, and then the cancer and the heart problems with Terry.
And the pandemic and all the stuff that happens with that.
I mean, my life is so complicated anyway. So you add all that in, and it's just like, I'm boiling over with stress. So
yeah,
found my dad wandering the halls in his underwear a couple nights ago. It's so hard to see that.
Yeah, and especially in a public
place. In a public place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's so demented now. It's so hard to watch. So actually that's another topic I'd like to talk about going forward, is about, are we living too long here? Like, this man, even Steve says he would put him down now if he were a dog, because he's embarrassing himself. Talk about a difficult person. It's all out in the open. He doesn't hide it well anymore, and he's embarrassing himself over there. People are all kind of steering clear of him.
And especially from being such a proper person.
Right.
And image-focused person. It's very surprising that he is acting this way, but he doesn't have a choice. It's his mind.
It's his mind, and it's really how he's always felt. So he sits at the dining room table, for instance, and if they don't come and serve him right away, Pat, his girlfriend, says he starts beating on the table, and the whole restaurant turns and looks at him. And then he tries to get up, but he's not really good at walking anymore. I mean, he staggers around, but he's not good at like getting up right away fast. So he kind of falls into the table, and then all these other people rush over to him and get him back into his wheelchair. And Al, you need to calm down, that kind of thing. And he gets all belligerent. So everything that he always used to feel when we were out at restaurants and waitresses weren't doing their jobs right, and he would just smolder, and then he would give them like 50 cents for a tip or whatever.
That's terrible.
Yeah, he was awful to the waitresses. Now he's doing it out in the open like that. You know, why aren't these caregivers here to take me back to my room? And then gets up and starts storming around, and everybody. So it, in a way, it's who he, I mean, it is who he is, and it's kind of justice to see that he, you know, this is what he's been all the while
Behind closed doors.
but everybody
yeah.
hid it, you know, in our family, and then he hid it too. So yeah, but it's also really hard to see that in your dad, because you still care, and I don't want him to. He cared about his image a lot.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But
So,
it's, I don't know if, I mean, he's a difficult person.
he is, and he raised a difficult son and another difficult son,
For different reasons.
and I guess I'm difficult because I'm fed up with offering online classes. It's almost the same level as Ken.
Right. Yeah. It's the same. Right. No, that's a hard situation. Especially with everything else going on, I feel like you just have like the odds stacked up against you in a way. You know, like it's just everything all at once, and then to have people have these expectations of that the world has with the pandemic is, I think, unfair. You know, when you're going through hell.
I think that's why I'm having temper tantrums, because I want people to understand, you know, that there's so many bigger things in life, you know, than just this virus. It's not all about that, you know. So here we go again. Oh my God! But just
Talking about the thing that shall not be named.
right. What was that again? That
Voldemort. Do you get the
No.
reference?
no.
Voldemort. It's Harry Potter. He's the bad guy.
Oh.
He's he who must not be named. They don't say his name.
It starts with a V too.
Virus Voldemort. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
whoa,
Yeah. Good
okay.
point. Good point.
Anyway, I'm not really sure if we talked about difficult people too much. I mean, we did. We talked about
did.
prisoners and murderers and sociopaths and.
And just how you handle. I mean, like it's.
But what about in your life? You know, did you want to weigh in on that, or is it
Sure. I mean, what do you want to know? Difficult people. I mean, there's.
I think sometimes when you're younger too, you come across them more.
Yeah.
Like, people start to mellow out as they get older, you know,
Well, yeah. Sometimes
or maybe not, or they get worse. They might get worse.
I feel like. See, from my perspective, as a younger person, I guess, people get more set in their ways
True.
as they get older.
Yeah, they come to be who they really are, and then
Yeah.
they're not ashamed of it. They don't.
Right.
Yeah. Good point.
Whereas, like, where younger people can still grow and everything. But, yeah, I've dealt with difficult people of all ages and backgrounds. So it's not like it's
I mean,
just one.
just coming from your
category.
dad alone, right?
Yeah. But then there's also people that are just kind of, you can't really put your finger on it, but something's not right with, like, your relationship with them. You know, like, where they kind of say backhanded compliments, and they're just kind of rude and all that. Like you just see it
That
everywhere.
whole passive aggressive thing where they're kind of trying to joke with you, but it's really an insult.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
get the impression that it's like, okay, you actually don't like me, do you?
Don't you just want to say that to them sometimes? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
and
like
then
what did I do to make you not like me?
And
you know?
sometimes it's battery is dead on that camera, so we still got one.
Hi.
And we gotta probably wrap it up because that one's dying as well.
Yeah, we didn't put the memory card on because we set up for like 5 hours.
So if you guys were wondering why there was a brief pause, we saw our camera just die. So, but yeah, so we'll wrap it up. I think. Any final thoughts on difficult people?
Well, I'm hoping I'm not one. I'm going to try to mellow out about everything, but probably won't.
I like that. That's very self-aware.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand this world.
Yeah.
And it's really hard,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to be patient. Patient. That's the thing.
That's a stupid word.
We should do a whole episode on patience.
No, because it will sound like grandma.
I know. So that's the other thing is like, I don't want to be like grandma either.
Forgiveness.
And patience. You need to be patient with things. And I don't want to be like that either because that's denial. You know,
Right.
you don't be patient with a sociopath living in your home.
That just roams free and has no rules or anything.
And
yeah,
does
just
terrible things and gets bailed out of prison, unlike this other person, and you know whatever. It's just Oh, I think I'm in a bad place.
On that note, maybe we can wrap it
Cheers.
up. Cheers to bad places.
Okay. Adios. Oh, that camera doesn't work. Okay.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Till next time.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this week's episode of No More Secrets. If you liked what you saw, subscribe below.
And be sure to check out our website, thealbrechtauthors.com, where you can also purchase a copy of our book, Broken Neck. You better f***ing do it.